My name is Flach, and I live locally right here in the Clayton area, Flowers Plantation. I work up in North Raleigh. I'm a landscape designer. I was listening to the radio on AM 1030 and heard Stephen being interviewed. That's initially what caught my attention. He spoke a lot about different issues in business that made me curious. So I tracked him down and learned about the Journey Principles, and that's why I'm here today. What resonated with me was that Stephen had or seemed to implement his belief in God and helping others, and implemented that into his business, which in a lot of days can be very secular and worldly. So for myself, I was trying to strive on how to bring my Christian principles with the day-to-day operations of running a landscaping company, and ultimately I believe that's where my success will come from. It's not really pleasing man, but pleasing God, and I was struggling on how to do that in a secular business. Personally, my favorite chapter was addiction versus sanctification. My background, or some of my personal testimony is I was addicted to heroin for about 20 years, in and out of jails and institutions, and just a tough life. I got saved about 2 years ago, surrendered my life, and so the whole process of sanctification was something that was new to me, but it was something that I believe was giving me the peace that I had in these last 2 years serving God. There's just so many people that are out there hurting, that need help. And I think that God uses people, certainly is using Stephen by giving them the words to write this book, that God is wanting to meet people right where they're at. And this book was so interesting. It wasn't just an addiction book. It wasn't, just a homelessness book. It wasn't just for people that are contemplating suicide. It had such a wide range of areas that Stephen, was vulnerable enough to share that with us so people like me can get help. I met Stephen for the first time today, and I didn't really have any preconceived ideas of what he was like. I had done some research on the Journey Principles, and it just oozes out of him that he's just in it to help people. And for somebody to be so vulnerable that they can put all their mess out there for the world to see for only one reason, to help other people grow or who may be going through that situation, to me is neat. You just don't find people like that much, but yeah, he certainly has a heart for the hurting. The Journey Principles is neat to me because it's to me it's like the main part that can branch out and help so many different people, right? There's so many different avenues that Stephen and the staff and you guys are doing to reach. You can reach people that are already saved, that are in a church right now that may be struggling in small groups, that can get a hold of the book and do that as a small group, go through it. I'm a big believer that you can't change what you don't acknowledge, and he certainly acknowledged, and he learns and grows from his journey, and so the vision to me is endless. I like to see, I just feel that God has me somewhere helping addiction and addicts, so who knows? Personally, I read it, I bought it and read it from a place of addiction and growth in that area. But I will pass it on to my wife, who doesn't have an addiction background. It's really open for anybody to read it. Any business owner should read it. Anybody that's seeking kingdom principles rather than just, worldly stuff. So there is a wide range of people that can read it. I'm very grateful that Stephen took the time to meet with me today for no other reason than just to help other people. And I believe the way we grow is by serving others. And obviously that's what the Journey Principles vision is about, is serving other people. And when it comes right down to it, that was Christ's ministry, was to serve others, you know, and we're to be Christ-like, so we're to serve other people. And I believe the Journey Principles does just that. I think it's great for, the Journey Principles would be great for somebody that is a new believer, that may be, well, a brand new believer. And like I said, I got saved 2 years ago, but I still consider myself a new believer, and I'm still hungry enough to continue to seek and read and learn and grow. And I think it's great because it doesn't speak above you, the book. It kind of speaks on day-to-day stuff that you may be going through. He just already went through it and was able to put down his experiences and what God taught him through those experiences. So hopefully, you might not have to walk in some of the same steps that he walked in. So it's a great book for a person struggling with their faith. You know, when I first got saved, I was so broken, so lost, so confused. I didn't grow up in a church. I didn't know anything about church. I knew there was a God, a heaven, and a hell, and that was about it. My whole young adult life was in addiction, in and out of jails and rehabs and stuff like that, relationships. So I was at a spot where I was just broken. And God, when I finally surrendered and said I needed help, and I just didn't know which way to go, that's where God met me. And so 2 years later, every day has been a journey that God has kind of led me on. And I believe He led me to reach out to you guys and the Journey Principles and to read the book and now apply it. And I'll continue to follow what you guys do. I'll follow the website and Stephen's new books. But I'll apply it in my home church and in our small groups and stuff like that, so we can continue to help one another. So I appreciate the time.